We're going to start, though, our fantasy outlook for the AFC South with the Tennessee Titans, and there really is nowhere else to begin than with Derrick Henry, because on our previous shows, Aaron, you have been on, and I think we all kind of almost come to a consensus on how we feel about one Derrick Henry entering the season. Although on Friday's show, if you missed it, I was starting to lean towards hyping up Derrick Henry because of his Instagram workout videos, which is absolutely absurd to hype up anyone about or because of. Aaron, you think that Derrick Henry might take a step back this season. So where does he finish, and where should Derrick Henry be drafted?
Well, let me make things very, very clear before I get to the negative side of Derrick Henry. He's a first-round pick. I mean, middle of the first round is kind of where I'm looking at him. And I think my internet's going to go out again. However, this is a guy that's only finished in the top 5 running backs twice. So when we're picking him, we're talking about a guy who many think could be the number 1 overall running back, number 1 overall player. I just don't think in a PPR format we can trust him to do that. I think we have to look at the offense he plays in, his skill set in the passing game, which is very limited, and just, again, his age and coming off an injury. With a lot of carries under his belt, Derrick Henry is going to be good. But I think there's other backs that you're looking at taking over him when you're talking about top 5 players overall. And I think that's guys like Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, perhaps a Cooper Kupp, and so on. So Derrick Henry, middle of the first round, picks 5 through 8, 6 through 9. If you're taking him there, if he drops there and you get him, you're probably happy. I always say I will never probably have Derrick Henry on my team because I'm never going to take him where he goes.
Do you think he finishes as an RB1 this season?
Barring injury? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But again, we look at those RB1s we talk about. Like, I have Josh Jacobs finishing as an RB1. I mean, to finish as an RB1 to top 12 is not that hard to do when you're a guy that gets the ball as much as Derrick Henry gets the ball, because the volume alone will give you the numbers. So when we're talking, I mentioned it before, 3 guys, 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns? 3 guys in the entire NFL. Can Derrick Henry go 1,010 touchdowns? Absolutely. But does that mean he's going to be a top 5 back? Maybe not. So when you account for the passing down work that some of these guys are going to get. So yes, he'll be a top 12 running back, probably more in the middle than the back end. But if anybody's going to drop out, he could be one of them. Like, there is a significant chance that offense takes a step back and they don't score as many touchdowns.
AJ?
I'm okay with him going where he is, 4th, 5th, 6th, that type of thing. I absolutely think he can finish in the top 5. I believe Derrick Henry has one more year of his dominance. I don't know if it's running back 1. If Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, we know he's going to be in the argument for that. I think Jonathan Taylor is in for a close to repeat season, not when, we'll talk about that, of course, but not exactly where it was, but enough to be in the top 3, top 4. So I think Derrick Henry can finish inside the top 5. So if you're drafting him 4 to 8, yeah, I agree. You're going to be happy.
I did want to point out one thing, and I think this is important, especially for people who think about taking Derrick Henry with the number 1 overall as the number 1 overall running back. Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns 2 years ago. And he still wasn't the RB1. Like, he was RB3. So 2,000 yards, which is rarely done in the NFL, almost 20 touchdowns, and he still wasn't the RB1. That, to me, it's not, I don't want to say it's a problem. It's just like that upside is always limited by his limited usage in the passing game. And yes, we're talking 3 to number 1. It's not a huge deal. But when I go to take that number 1 draft pick, I want the Christian McCaffrey years when he's running for 1,600, catching 900, and scoring 20 touchdowns. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Jonathan Taylor last year, I'm looking for numbers like that. And with Derrick Henry, I just don't think you can get him because the man's never had 20 catches in the season. He's never had more than 206 receiving yards. Like, he doesn't catch the ball enough.
He's got a cap. He's got a cap, and that's the thing. You have to be concerned with the injuries too. With a guy like Derrick Henry, bigger back, obviously with a ton of work that he gets. Who knows if he's going to be able to get withstand the amount of carries that he's been getting. I have a feeling if he ends up getting the amount of work that he has had in the past, he won't survive a full 17 games this season. Or they're going to have to use Hassan Haskins a little bit more, or whatever running back they have in Tennessee that's going to come in. AJ, outside of Derrick Henry, we talk about Treylon Burks and Robert Woods. Let's get into it here. You had Robert Woods over Treylon Burks. What makes you think he is the number one weapon here in Tennessee, and is he the best fantasy option outside of Derrick Henry?
I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be in that offense. With Robert Woods, firstly, I mean, he's been back since early May at this point. He was in OTAs. I was watching a couple workouts with him, and he's doing cutting drills and looking good. And they're talking about how he's looked since he's come back. And I mean, they're not just saying, oh, he's going to be okay. They're using words like he's already explosive. He's running phenomenal. They expect him to be 100% by week 1. And if that's the case, I think Ryan Tannehill is likely to trust the veteran a little more than he trusts the rookie at this point in time, as well as the fact that he hasn't been able to build enough chemistry with Treylon Burks at this point because he hasn't been able to be there in OTAs and in minicamps. Now, again, that might change. We all know last year we talked about Jamar Chase dropping the ball, and he came out and had one of the best rookie seasons that we've ever seen. So I'm not saying fade Treylon Burks by any means, but I do believe what Robert Woods will be able to bring to a game like for Ryan Tannehill will be something he looks for. You talk about his usage in the screen game. You talk about his usage in the short game, the versatility and being able to run the ball. There's just so many different ways they're going to be able to get him the ball. Now, the other thing I want to bring up with Robert Woods is his last 2 full seasons in LA were pretty damn good. We're not talking about his injury last year. He 90 catches each of those 2 years, averaged 1,000 yards, and was on about average of 134 targets. You think about A.J. Brown leaving. You think about Julio Jones leaving. That's about 150 targets that have opened up. Then if you want to go a step further, they lost 14 players that had at least 2 targets for Ryan Tannehill. There's a total, and I looked this up, quote Yahoo Sports, so if I'm wrong, go yell at Yahoo. There's a total of 351 targets that have opened up for this passing game. Now, I just told you Robert Woods had 134 in LA. We bring up the fact that they don't pass as much. Let's say 105, 110 targets for Robert Woods, which is about accurate. A.J. Brown was averaging about 106. Robert Woods carries a 67% catch rating. We're talking about 74 receptions. That could easily turn into another 1,000-yard receiving for a 1,000-yard receiving year for Robert Woods, and that's not even counting whatever he may bring to the rushing game. So I think that he's going to be the trust factor, and then Treylon Burks is going to be able to open the field and make the big plays and gain trust as the season goes on. And that's kind of how I see it breaking down in this first season for the Tennessee Titans, Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, so on and so forth.
If you're not, what you said about like Robert Woods is not wrong at all. Everything you talk about his skill set, he brings all of that to the table. It's just on the wrong team. It's in the wrong offense. Robert Woods was successful with the Rams because of the offense that Sean McVay put forth in there. If you look at his most successful seasons with the Rams, it was because of the type of offense that they ran. 2018, 2019, when he had his 1,000-yard seasons, and then 2020 when he almost got to 1,000. That was a spread it out, Sean McVay, mastermind type offense. This is not that. This is a pound it, play action, deep shot offense, which doesn't fit Robert Woods' game. It fits Treylon Burks, which is why it fit A.J. Brown. And this might sound silly, but Robert Woods is more like Julio Jones in the Tennessee Titan offense than he is A.J. Brown in the Tennessee Titans offense. Tennessee Titans don't throw bubble screens. Tennessee Titans, they run play action, 15-yard digs, post routes, deep goes. Those aren't Robert Woods. And so unless that offense changes or they change how they incorporate Robert Woods, I don't know how that fits. I do think there are a number of targets that are going to be available in that offense. I think a number of those targets will go to Burks. I think a number of them will go to Robert Woods, but I think they won't be. He won't have as many yards after the catch with the style of offense they play. And then Austin Hooper's also in that offense now, who I think is going to play a big part in the over the middle type stuff. So I do think Robert Woods can be ineffective. And I told you guys this before in the offseason. I think he's a much better fit in Tennessee as a football player than as a fantasy asset. I don't think his fantasy numbers are going to be able to live up to what we would need. If he gets 110 targets and 70 catches, he's probably going to have about 650 yards. That's what I think.
I don't. This might be a little drastic here, but I don't think I want either of them. Like, it's not like I'm like saying like I want to avoid like if I get a good value for them, I'm not going to take them. But like at their ADP, and it's not like it's a bad ADP, but I don't think I want either one of those guys unless they're an absolute steal. In my opinion, I don't like that Tennessee Titans offense as much. Like you said, Aaron, this is a run first team. It's Derrick Henry, and then it's everyone else. And taking the shot on Treylon Burks, taking the shot on Robert Woods, I'm not really sure I want to make that gamble unless it's going to be something drastic. Right now, Robert Woods is being drafted as the wide receiver 39, and Treylon Burks is being drafted as the wide receiver 42. I don't know if I'd want them. There's other guys going around there that I would rather have. Drake London's going ahead of, Drake London's going around there. Brandon Ayuk's going around there. Christian Kirk, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, is going around there. Russell, I think would you rather Russell Gage or one of those guys? Russell Gage or Robert Woods / Treylon Burks?
If you were asking me in a year where Chris Godwin and Mike Evans were there the whole season, and I know Antonio Brown was fine as a third piece in that offense, but even with all this going on, Antonio Brown talent-wise is an uptick to Russell Gage. But I think because he's still the third option, like I would probably end up taking one of those guys around there, knowing that they are going to be the focal point after a Derrick Henry. But I'd be very happy to get Russell Gage because I think that rapport is going to be really nice with Tom Brady. And it's Tom freaking Brady.
I'd probably take Russell Gage. I'd probably take Treylon Burks over Russell Gage.
Just because he's the number one. That's like I feel like that's what separates them.
It's not because it's not really defined that he's the number one. We assume he's the number one because he's the first round pick. It's really that style of offense. If you look at the way they ran that offense with A.J. Brown, they did draft Treylon Burks to be A.J. Brown. I mean, we joked about him being 2.0 because he's not A.J. Brown per se, but they drafted him to do those things, to go deep and stretch the field. So there's a situation where maybe Treylon Burks only has like 50 catches, 56 catches, but he might have 50 catches and almost 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. And that is going to be a useful fantasy number. And he's going to be on the field. I know that for sure, as long as he's healthy. Yeah. So I think I would probably go there because I think the upside is tremendous if he does have one of those crazy years where Russell Gage is going to be capped because of that offense and how many guys they get involved. And there's going to be games where he has 2 catches for 26 yards, and there's games going to have 9 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. So I do like Treylon Burks to be the guy in Tennessee that if you're going to take a Tennessee wide receiver, and I'm with you, Vinny, I'm staying away in most cases. Yeah. But if you're going to take a guy, I probably would lean towards Burks just because of the upside.
I think his first year is between Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. Like in Tennessee. Like
fair.
That's just kind of what I see. And I know that can be pretty drastic if you remember Corey Davis's rookie year with Marcus Mariota, but still, I mean, that's what we're looking at. We're thinking about these rookies coming in that first year in that offense. So
yeah, there's a few wide receivers going around there that Drake London, Russell Gage, I'd consider, Michael Gallup, I'd consider, and Alan Lazard. I'd consider all those guys over Treylon Burks and Robert Woods, to be completely honest.
I mean, to be fair, AJ Brown's rookie year was 50 catches, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns.
And 80, yeah. Wasn't a bad by any means. I think the number I hearkened on was his 84 targets, and I feel like it's going to be somewhere around there. I don't expect Treylon Burks to be in the triple-digit targets his first year.
Correct. I agree.
And I think he might need that to have the type of A.J. Brown year that he had.